Hi, I'm Tom. This is Mina, and this is Kitty Help Desk. So today I just really wanted to talk a little bit about taking road trips with cats. I had a friend ask me about this recently, and I thought, well, that'd make a decent video. Just kind of cover some of the basics of how to approach this so that you really don't distress your cats too much. Now, there are obviously lots of different cats out there, and some of them really like going out of the house and going and doing things, but most of them are really tied to their territory. Cats, unlike dogs, are more comforted by the scents that they deposit, the scent marks they put on their territory, than they are by the other people and other animals around them. So taking them out of their territory can be problematic for a lot of cats. So you have to be really careful in how you approach it. The first concern really is their safety. And because of that, you really want to have a really good quality cat carrier. I use these soft side carriers from Bergen, and they've held up very well for many years. And they have a little bed inside that Velcro's in place and everything, and I leave them out and in the open and opened up all the time so that they can play in them and get used to them when we're not going to the vet. And they don't, I take them out and now she's not running away because this is up here. She actually was, before I started shooting this, she was crawling around inside of it. So you want to make sure that you have a carrier that's secure and that has, like this one has loops here where you can run a seat belt through there. You want to make sure in the car that the carrier is secured and that in the event that there's an accident, even as far as a rollover, that they are still going to be within the carrier and nothing within the car is going to crush them. So things that are loose inside the car, you really want to pay attention to what's there and what could essentially hurt them. With a soft-sided carrier, that's a huge concern, whereas a hard-sided carrier, you just really want to make sure that there's something soft inside the carrier, like Mina's bed here that she likes so much. This put inside a hard-sided carrier could pad around the insides of it and make it a little safer for a cat. The other thing you want to think about in terms of safety is identification. So when I take any of the cats out of the house, they all get collars like this one. This one has Lucy's name on it and my phone number. And Mina has one as well. And they don't wear them in the house all the time because at one point Mina started developing a thing where her hair around her neck was really pressed down and it wasn't filling in as normally. In fact, she's still got a little bit of a ridge around her neck from all the years that I had her wearing a collar. So I don't make them wear them inside the house all the time, but anytime we leave the house, I make sure they're wearing a collar. I also make sure that they're chipped. So that's important, and that the chips are registered with correct contact information for me today, as opposed to, years and years ago when I got Mina chipped. I guess it was 13 or 14 years ago. So she's going to take a nap here while we continue. So those are really the primary things. Then after you've covered safety, you really want to make sure that they are as comfortable as they can be. And one of the parts of that process is to positively reinforce their association with getting in the car. So you don't want to just have them experience the car when they're going to the vet to get a shot, or they're going to the vet to get a dental cleaning or whatever. That's just going to reinforce them that the carrier and the car and the smells inside the car, the sounds in the car are horrible, scary things. We want to take them and take them on rides around the block. Just a short ride where you're giving them treats and help them to build up sort of a tolerance to all those new things. Because if they don't experience the car more than maybe once a year when you take them to the vet, it's really just going to be terrifying. every single time they go into the carrier or the car. So we just want to kind of build up their tolerance. So you might even try it every couple of days, take them around the block, extend the trips gradually, give them high value treats, make sure that they start to associate really positive things with the car. There are some that even, recommend you take them to the vet's office, bring them inside, let them get a treat, take them home. If the vet's close enough to you, I'm all for that. For us, it's about a 30-minute car ride. So building up to that 30-minute car ride could take a little bit of time. So you really want to take the time that's necessary to get them acclimated to the whole idea of the car. Once you've done that, you just want to make sure you provide for their needs in the car. One of those things is by making sure that the car interior is as quiet as it can be, and maybe that you have some soft music. A lot of cats have music preferences, believe it or not. Mina used to listen to music all day long. I would put her favorite CDs on loop on a little music player, or MP3s on a little music player, and she would listen to them all day, and it helped her to not be bored and not overgroom at that time in her life when she was at home most of the day by herself. And the same thing can apply to being in the car. You can have some soft music or something that they're used to. It's all about trying to get that program into place in their minds, where when they hear that, they associate that with being at home. When they smell the blanket or the carrier, they associate that with being at home. When they smell the interior of the car, they associate that with the short rides getting treats. So all of these things build up to a lot less stress for each individual cat. The other thing is, in terms of their needs, is if you're going on a road trip, and I assume that means, maybe you're driving all day and you're staying somewhere new each night. For myself, the last time I did this was moving from Los Angeles to Florida, and Mina and I drove the whole way in 4 days, and we stayed at 3 different hotels, and it was stressful on both of us. I can't say whether it was more stressful on me or on her, but we both had our share of stress. And the thing about going that far in a car is you test everybody's patience. Like Mina, towards the end of that, really had enough, and she decided she was just going to meow constantly, almost the entire last day, where she's just telling me, I want out of here. I want out of here. I tried so many different ways to make her comfortable. I originally had like a dog crate, one of those big metal cages in the front of the car, and had bedding and all kinds of things in there that she was familiar with, and she just was fine with it when I kind of was testing her. But once we got on the road, she really didn't like being in that, and she preferred being in the close confines of the carrier. So you have to just listen to what they tell you as you go along, and if they tell you they need something, you have to try and be flexible enough to give them what they're asking for, and they generally will be very, very vocal or physically demonstrate what they need. So if they hide and they press their face against the sides of the carrier or against the bars of the cage or whatever, then they're telling you something through those actions. So anyway, going on a long road trip, you've got to make sure that they have supplies and that they're able to use the bathroom and eat and drink, and all these things are relatively simple. For food and water, you just want sort of covered containers, and they can just be household kitchen containers. Just like the ride in the car, you want to acclimate them to that and maybe feed them from those from time to time, building up to the date of the trip, so that they're used to those containers as opposed to the bowls that you might normally use. I don't usually like plastic containers because they can build up bacteria. But on a trip, that's okay because you can seal it and you're not going to have a big mess, and you can keep water in one so that when you stop to get gas, maybe you can pull over under a tree and put things out in the car and have some quiet time and take a little break with them and make sure that they're okay. Same thing goes for a litter box. Using like a covered storage container that you can seal is a good idea, and including some litter that smells like home, that smells like their territory, is going to encourage them to use that kind of new litter box in that strange situation in the car. Now, some people will want to let their cats out of the car, and that's okay if you've harness trained them in advance. And eventually I'm going to do a harness training video here, but that's kind of a whole other subject. But you can certainly harness train them and let them out of the car, as long as you're in an area and you scout the grounds and make sure there's not like broken glass, or that there's not like hot pavement, that there's an area like a grassy area that they could use to sort of relax in, and where it's quiet. That's all well and good, but that does take a good bit more time to sort of build up to being able to take them out on a harness. There are those who will say that you should put them on some sort of sedative in the car. I really wouldn't recommend that unless they start to really react, to start seriously having a problem. Say you stop overnight in a hotel, they won't eat, they won't drink, they won't go to the bathroom. You may need to have something in your back pocket as a sort of plan B. So that's something to discuss with your veterinarian. Just go as lightly as you can with that sort of thing, so that there's not a big weaning period at the end of it. You don't want to have a cat, like we traveled for 4 days, you really don't want to have them on something for 4 days and 4 nights, and then, have the stress of coming off of that drug. Also, you have the stress of actually getting pilled and all that. And I just think it's easier to make the trip kind of more of a positive thing if they will allow you to, and if that's okay with them. The other thing has to do with sort of lodging. I know that a lot of hotels discourage pets. Some won't allow them at all, and those that do allow them often charge extra fees. I guess that's because they think that there's going to be extra mess, but I was able to find hotels everywhere I needed to stop that allowed pets and didn't charge me anything extra. If you can't find that, then it is possible to just sort of bring them in. Especially a cat, other than a dog, is a lot easier just to bring in sort of, in this thing covered with a blanket, or the litter box is a Tupperware container. It doesn't look like it's pet supplies necessarily, and so you could bring it in surreptitiously. I'd rather really just be honest with everyone, but if that's the case, if it's the only way you can make it work, that's okay. Just be very conscientious about your use of the space and cleaning up after your pet when you're ready to go. Litter is especially, it always goes everywhere, so you just want to make sure you sweep that up, put it in plastic bags, and come prepared with lots of little plastic bags for cleanup, and paper towels, and maybe a spray cleaner to clean up after them when you're leaving the hotel room, so that they really never see any evidence that there was ever a cat in the room. The other thing in the room is to make sure that the room itself is safe for your cat, because there are lots of rooms. One of the trends now is to kind of have the bottom base of the bed be a closed box that is not supposed to. You're not supposed to be able to see under the bed. I guess that's supposed to just look better and make it where they don't have to clean under there, which is a little gross. But there's where there's a will, there's a way with a cat, and cats can get into anything. And the first thing you want to do is go around and make sure that there are no little nooks and crannies and things for them to get into. Personally, I'd also say check the room for bed bugs before you put them in there, because that could be, again, that's another whole story. But there's been lots of bed bug outbreaks at hotels over the years, and you can actually, there are some good websites where you can research that and learn in advance whether there's much risk at the hotel that you're going to. But you want to keep your pets as safe as possible, so just scope it out, make sure there's not cords that they could get caught up in, or on, like on the drapes or power cords or things like that. Mina, for the most part, at all the hotels, she dealt with the trip cross country as well as you'd expect her to, but she really didn't enjoy the trip. And so every night in the hotel, she would kind of hide or find an elevated bench or a seat or something to sit on until I got into bed, and then she would crawl into the bed with me. And she ate a little bit each day, so that was good. I was always afraid she wouldn't eat, because that can really create liver problems for a cat if they don't eat within, say 24 hours. So you just want to really be aware of that sort of thing. And one other thing that could help in an emergency is every place that you're planning a nighttime stop, you could also research whether there's a veterinary clinic or a hospital there in the event that you have an issue on the road. I'm not saying, about hospitals every step along the way, but for those nighttime stops, just knowing that there's a place that you could go to could be really helpful. So I hope you have fun on your trips, and I hope that your cats enjoy themselves too. And some cats really do enjoy getting out and riding in the car. I've known a couple over the years that really love that. So, it depends on your cat. If you decide that your cat really isn't up for it, then probably the best thing to do would be to find a really good cat sitter to come by your house a couple of times a day and attend to your cat's needs that way. That really would be a more considerate way to deal with a cat if you have the choice. Please like and subscribe if you like what I do here, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.